No one expected humanity's end to begin with a quiet tremor under the Pacific Ocean. No one predicted a sound, too low for human ears but deafening to everything else, that would travel through Earth's crust, up through the atmosphere and across the dark ocean of space. And absolutely no one predicted that this single event would send the deadliest species in the known galaxy fleeing in blind terror from a small blue planet they had never previously bothered to notice. But for Dr. Lena Aldrin, the first scientist to hear the anomaly through a deep ocean seismic array she'd modified herself, the story began long before aliens started running. It began with a humming beginning. Lena stood ankle-deep in seawater inside the control room of Seamount Research Base 7B, a converted oil rig floating 1,000 kilometers off Hawaii. Everything vibrated, coffee cups rattled, bolts groaned, the reinforced steel walls trembled like wet leaves. The tremor was not an earthquake. She would have known. Lena had spent 15 years listening to the planet's groans and shivers. Earth spoke in frequencies, in quiet rumblings beneath human thought. She could interpret them the same way a musician hears notes. But this was a series of tones impossibly disciplined, rhythmically precise, intentional, a signal. "Are you seeing this?" Lena shouted to her assistant Rahim, who was clinging to the tilted workstation as the whole rig thumped again. "I'm more concerned with seeing daylight tomorrow," he yelled back. The screen showed a spectrogram of the vibration frequencies. 7 spikes, 7 notes repeating over and over like some cosmic chant. "It's structured," Lena said. "It's trying to communicate." "With what?" Rahim asked. "Whales? Submarines? God?" She didn't answer, because part of her, some deep, wordless instinct, already knew the truth. Nothing on Earth was producing this. Earth was answering something. She just didn't know what. 43 light-years away aboard a ship size of a continent, something noticed the signal too. The Zoloth Collective, known across the galaxy as the Harbingers, had exterminated more civilizations than any plague or war. Their ships blotted stars, their weapons devoured atmospheres. For 2 millennia, planets surrendered at the mention of their name. But in the command chamber of their flagship, the Val Dominion, the Harbingers were not preparing for conquest. They were screaming, "Commander Kelt," a creature whose crystalline exoskeleton could crush starship hulls, trembled as the 7-note pattern blared through their receivers like a god's heartbeat. Purple coolant leaked from the joints of his armor. "This cannot be," Kelt whispered, mandibles clicking. "The frequency matches the prophetic tone, the one the ancients described." All 8 of his captains stared in shock. "The tone that signals their awakening," Captain Zorek croaked. "The species the ancients feared. The ones they sealed away at the galaxy's edge." Kelt turned toward the holographic map of the galaxy. A single blue star pulsed at the fringe. Small, insignificant, and yet, "That planet," he said. "The third world of Sol." "The prison world," Zorak whispered. "The world the ancients warned us never to approach." Kelt's voice dropped to a terrified whisper. "Earth, middle." Lena didn't sleep that night, or the night after. The signal grew stronger, then began modulating, like an intelligence was learning to speak through the planet itself. Then the drones started arriving. The first object appeared in the sky 3 days later, a metallic sphere the size of a bus, silent and impossibly fast. Lena saw grainy footage on her laptop. CNN replayed the moment it hovered above Manhattan, before disappearing in a flash of violet light. Then came the others, dozens, hundreds, not attacking, observing, clicking, scanning. People panicked. Governments declared states of emergency. Militaries mobilized. But the drones never harmed anyone. They simply hovered in eerie stillness before zipping to the next location. Rahim burst into the lab holding a tablet. "Lena, you need to see this. They're all mapping something. Every drone. Every continent." "What?" He showed her the global satellite view. Lines crisscrossed Earth, dotted arcs connecting drone positions with mathematical precision. The pattern repeated every time Lena played the ocean signal. 7 notes. 7 paths. 7 rings. She felt a chill. "It's a resonance diagram," she said. "Something is vibrating Earth like a tuning fork, and the drones are checking the amplitude." "Why?" "I think," she swallowed, "I think they're scared." Rahim stared at her. "Of us? Why the hell would anything out there be scared of us?" I don't know, but she would soon. Far above Earth's atmosphere, Harbinger ships flooded into orbit, sleek, blade-like vessels made of dark matter plating that shimmered like ice. They did not approach cities. They did not broadcast a threat. They waited, watching, gathering, and trembling. Commander Kelt watched Earth from the viewing deck of the flagship, his 4 hearts pounding. "It is happening," he murmured. The tone grows stronger. "Their prison weakens." Zorak shuddered. "The humans. Do they even know what they are?" "Of course not," Kelt said. "That was the Ancients' design. A species born with the potential to ascend but sealed away from the galaxy so they could never rise. And if they rise now?" Kelt's voice became a trembling whisper. "Then the galaxy ends." Day by day, Earth changed. Animals fled forests en masse. Birds circled restlessly. Whales breached in unnatural unison. Entire coral ecosystems pulsed with light. Trees shed leaves out of season. Storms gathered despite clear atmospheric conditions. The whole biosphere was reacting. To what? Even Lena didn't know until the night the sky caught fire. She was standing on the deck of the research base, staring up at a strange, shimmering aurora stretching across half the planet, green, purple, and gold curtains dancing unnaturally fast. Then she saw the shapes. Silhouettes moving inside the aurora, like shadows of colossal beings swimming through a different dimension. Long arms, multiple wings, eyes like burning stars. Rahim screamed, "What the hell is that?" Lena couldn't breathe. She tried to convince herself it was a trick of the light, atmospheric lensing, anything logical, but deep inside, her mind whispered an older truth she didn't know she carried. They're waking up. A deep rumble shook the waves. The 7-note pattern thundered again, this time loud enough for everyone on the planet to hear. It rolled across the oceans, through cities, through bones. People dropped to their knees. Animals howled. Every Harbinger ship jolted backward like they'd been struck. Commander Kelt fell against the command console. "It is the Ascension call," he gasped. "The humans are beginning to awaken. Their dormant selves are stirring." Zorak shrieked, "We must flee, now!" "No," Kelt rasped. "We must warn the galaxy. The Ancients knew this day might come, and they left us instructions." He activated the emergency transgalactic beacon. A hologram appeared, grainy, ancient, flickering with age, a figure with no clear shape, surrounded by swirling symbols. The message was short and horrifying. If the humans awaken, run. On Earth, the aurora deepened. Lightning traced fractal spirals across clouds without storms. Cities lost power. Compasses spun. Rivers flowed backward. Children reported hearing voices in the sky, hundreds of voices speaking in a language no human tongue could form. Lena spent hours analyzing data, hardly blinking. "It's neuroreactive," she said. "Something is altering our consciousness. The signal is interacting with our brains." Rahim rubbed his temples. "Lena, do you hear whispering?" She nodded. "I thought it was just me," she whispered back. At night, she dreamed of floating in giant, star-filled halls made of luminous glass. She saw beings shaped like humans but stretched, tall as skyscrapers, with wings of light and voices that bent reality. She woke every time with tears streaming down her face, and the certainty that they were not just dreams, they were memories. Memories she never lived. Memories humanity was never supposed to have. Meanwhile, orbit grew chaotic. Harbinger ships pushed away from Earth's gravity. Hundreds, thousands. Their command channels overflowed with panicked screeching. "They are awakening," the tone, eyes rising. "I teased too late." Even the infamous Harbingers, murderers of empires, were fleeing like frightened insects. Commander Kelt gave a final order: transmit the warning galaxy-wide. Then retreat, immediately. "But Commander," Kelt stared at Earth, eyes quivering. "We never should have come here. For humanity, the final trigger came on a silent, breathless dawn. No birds sang, no engines hummed. The entire planet held still, as though Earth itself inhaled. Then, in the first light of morning, every human on the planet felt it. A presence. Something vast and ancient pressed gently against their minds, as though brushing away a veil that had existed since the dawn of their species. Lena collapsed to her knees on the deck, her breath hitched. Her heart felt too big for her body. She felt taller, vaster, like her consciousness stretched beyond the horizon. She heard millions of others gasping at the same moment, every city, every country, every person awakening at once. And then she heard the voice, not with her ears, with her mind. Children, rise. In orbit, Kelt watched thousands of glowing silhouettes erupt from Earth's surface. Astral figures, luminous and human-shaped, expanding past the atmosphere and unfurling wings of cosmic fire. Every Harbinger ship panicked. Go, Kelt screamed. Jump to warp. GET away from this system. The Harbinger fleet vanished in streaks of light, fleeing, terrified. Defeated without a single shot fired, Earth glowed gold behind them, ending. Lena awoke on the deck, hours later. The sky was blue again, the aurora had faded, the ocean was calm. Rahim shook her shoulder. Lena, are we still alive? She nodded weakly. What happened? He whispered. She stared at the horizon, remembering the brief moment when her consciousness had unfurled like a star. Remembering the voice, the power, the feeling of being more. I think, she said slowly, we were reminded of what we are. What does that mean? She looked at him, at the world, at the sky where alien invaders had fled in terror. It means, she whispered, humanity isn't what we think. The ancients, whoever they were, locked something inside us. Something vast, something dangerous enough that entire species fear us. And now it's awake? No, she said, just stirring. Our full potential, that might take generations. Rahim exhaled shakily. Do you think they'll come back? Lena looked skyward toward the empty void where the Harbingers once hovered. No, she said. I think the galaxy will avoid us at all costs. She stood, feeling the wind brush against her skin in a way that felt different. Like the world recognized her now. Like Earth itself was greeting her. What now? Rahim asked. Lena gave a small, determined smile. Now, she said. We figure out who we really are. Because deep inside her, barely audible but undeniably real, she could still feel the 7 notes humming. Gentle, steady, patient. Not a warning, not a threat. A promise. Humanity had awakened just enough to scare the deadliest species in the galaxy into running. And one day they would learn why.